Hi guys, and welcome to a double battle report. We're going to be doing two different games. I do have quite a backlog of replays to get through, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing double cast. And this one is sent in by Extreme Meme Team's very own Raptor up against Cavendish. So let's go into slow motion and check out their armies. So it looks like we do have some vampirants for the main baseline of his army. We do have zombie pirate deckhand mobs, a couple of them with chevrons as well, just making them a little bit more tanky. And the guys who are actually doing the damage are just behind them. We have two units of the zombie pirate gunnery mob bombers. These little guys are going to be coving some shots over the top of this front line, doing some really decent damage. These guys used to be considered a little bit of a meme, but they're actually pretty damn powerful now, in my opinion. It looks like in the back line we do have one more unit of zombie pirate deckhand mobs as well, protecting the back, and then we have some heavy hitters. Down here on the ground we have the Gallows Giant, Necrofex Colossus, Regiment of Renown, who spits pure fire out of this very cool looking cannon up here, doing a huge amount of damage. So overall, very powerful indeed. Once again, also considered a little bit of a meme at one point, but I think, especially against Beastmen, he can do some really nice damage. Up in the skies, we have a Death Shriek Terrorgeist here. This haunting, terrifying looking creature does some nice anti-large bonus. Also has regeneration, armor pierce, and all that good stuff. Actually, he might not have anti-large. Don't think he does. I think that's the standard version, but I think this one is a little bit more multi-purpose. On the right-hand flank, we also have a couple of units of Scurvy Dogs to get into that back line and feast upon those Ungors, and also a couple of units of Fell Bats as well. Now for leadership down here we have, oh not for leadership, we have a bloated corpse, and this replay was sent to me saying bloated corpse no or something, so it's going to be interesting to see how this guy performs with that sword straight from his left eye, looking very haggard here indeed. For leadership we in fact have a Vampire Fleet Admiral with a polearm. He does have the Law of Vampires as well, doing his dramatic cape floating in the wind there. And let's see what we have. We have All Hands Ahoy, Invocation of the Heck, as you'd suspect, Drowned Dead, all that good stuff. So overall, pretty damn fun build with a couple of really cool units in there mixed in as well. Now for Cavendish and his army of Beastmen, he's gone for a ton of Ungor Raiders. I really like them in this matchup. We have 4 units in fact. And then for his main battle line, we have Ungor Herds mixed in with Gore Herds on either flank. And then a huge contingent of Chaos Spawn. 3 units. These guys are unbreakable. Poison damage, all that good stuff. Unbreakable units I find are really good up against vampires. Not affected by fear, terror, or any of that nasty stuff. And in the distance, we have a... what's that guy from Narnia called? Mr. Thomas or something. Well, there is a giant who does represent him quite nicely here. Of course, Beastmen Giants looking a little bit different. Causing terror, anti-infantry, all that good stuff. And no penalty in the forest, which is really powerful, actually. Now, for his leadership core, we have a Brave Shaman of Wild coming in with that Cygor summon. We also have the Eye of Morslib Regiment around Cygor as well. Going to be throwing in some long-range rocks. So going for a little bit of a summon build. As we also have Morg of the Shadowgave, who's going to be summoning Chaos Spawn as well. Definitely the most competitive Beastmen pick overall. Regeneration, super tanky, and can summon spawns of chaos. So without further ado, let's get this underway. Sorry, I'm going to have to zoom out as I did just get a message on Steam. Oh, come on. There we go. We are back, and let's get this battle underway. So we're going to try and take special attention onto the bloated corpse and ensure that we see what this whole bloated corpse no fin is about. Some early skirmishing going on. Ungor Raiders here just dealing pretty decent damage to some Scurvy Dogs and at least forcing them off. Looks like one unit is going to get caught here though and munched up quite quickly. Scurvy Dogs very powerful, but we do have Gore Herds run in to assist them, so this guy should be fine. Looks like we do have another Cygor summon as well. We're doing some really decent long-range firepower. And this is a very viable build going for all the mass summons. So it looks like the Royal Leviathan just pushing up a little bit earlier. I don't know if I spoke about this boy actually in my pre-army matchup. But look at this horrifying looking, disgusting Leviathan, which will be a decent amount of work and cause a lot of terror to the very low leadership of the Beastmen. Now, where is the bloated boy? It looks like he is running headlong in, so we might be able to see him straight away. Is he just instantly going to get shot down by Ungor Raiders? That'd be pretty... kind of horrible there. It does get the gaze on him though, so he is being frozen in place here by Warp Gaze, and he's just slowly losing health and being shot by Ungors. He should do some damage. Oh no! He's been changed into Chaos Spawn. Somehow that one bloated corpse does not even explode and instead emerges and pops into 12 Chaos Spawn, who now actually have a perfect run into the back line here on top of these bombers, who are going to be pretty vital in winning that frontline engagement. So if Raptor's not careful, looks like he is putting those guys back, but they're not exactly very fast. Looks like the Chaos Spawn sprinting as fast as they can, hopping on top of the zombie pirate gunnery mobs, and flinging those guys down very quickly. So unfortunately those guys are going to be a bit of a disaster, but the Terrorgeist does come down to try and assist as the main battle line is getting underway. Looks like Gallows Giant's getting a nice invocation of the heck, healing them up. He did take some long-range damage to those Cygors, and the main line is just about underway. Some Ungor Raiders doing some decent damage overall, and Brox looks like swinging and missing, aiming for the Vampire Fleet Admiral there. Chaos Spawn popping into the front line, and they will mulch zombie pirate deck mobs all day, every day. We see some nice flames coming over there into the back of the Ungor Raiders, but he needs to get those bats over there and start shutting those guys down as quickly as possible, obviously dealing with all this backline harass. Front line is underway, but it's going very, very well for the Beastmen so far. The Chaos Spawn just assisting Ungors where they can and mulching through this front line. We do see a dead Cygor on the ground down there. And those flaming shots still coming in, doing some decent long-range damage to the Ungors, who are almost broken. They also have bats going in as well. Looks like the bombers have been compromised, just not enough in that front line to protect these guys. 0 kills as well on them, and they are going to be running for the hills, but they will not be fast enough to escape Gore herds at all. And over on this flank here, it looks like we do have a gigantic Behemoth fight coming in from the Rotten Leviathan up against the Giant. I believe the Giant will win this, but the Crab flings him to the floor and turns around to just kind of show him his backside. He's not even worth fighting him from the front, but some Chaos Spawn do run over, and they will make a huge difference, poisoning the Leviathan, lowering all its stats overall. And things are going very well for the Beastmen so far. It looks like the initial assault probably shocked by the bloated corpses. Very unfortunate fate there. The vampires seem to be on the back foot. But we do have the fleet captain going in for a bit of an assassination attempt on Morga, but he's so healthy. He also summons a unit of Chaos Spawn as well. That fleet captain is in very dangerous territory now. Gallows Giant up to 67 kills, doing pretty decent. He will also do great damage to the Chaos Spawn, as of course they do have... Oh no, they don't have regeneration. For some reason I thought they had regeneration, ignore me there. Big, nice shot, arcing shot though, coming into the flank of these units here, doing really decent damage. But we do have another Cygor summoned in the back. Those guys pretty decent in melee, and the big fight is really going down on this flank here. They're on Rotten Leviathan, slowly being dragged down by the help of a Giant and loads of Ungor Raiders. Some of them though are being forced off. Terrorgeist has hopped down here as well in an attempt to assist this very beleaguered beast. In the back line, we do have some summons trying to shut down the Cygors, and at least they're stopping them throwing rocks for the most part. A couple of scurvy dogs who need to get engaged. They might have been able to save these bombers, but unfortunately the bombers do go down, and that was his best tool for dealing with kind of the hordes of Ungor Raiders and Gore herds and so forth. Gallows Giant trying to hold the line though, doing some pretty awesome attacks as he picks up a poor little Ungor there and flames him in the face, roasting that Ungor there down to the ground. But unfortunately looks like armor losses is setting in, and it's going to be quite a quick victory for the Beastmen there. Really impressed by this build. Gallows Giant, 120 kills though, doing some pretty awesome stuff. Raptor living up to his extreme meme team name and bringing a couple of off-meta picks. That bloated corpse though was pretty hilarious at the start, being turned into 12 Chaos Spawn. Imagine your body being ripped into 12 horrible abominations. And the Chaos Spawn did really good work, helping win that front line and allowing the Ungors to push into the back there, hop on top of those bombers and shut them down. And as for all the big beasties, the Leviathan and so forth, they just get surrounded and slowly beat down by the poison-causing Chaos Spawns, and down goes the last bastion of hope. And that is going to be game. So let's go to the end stats there before we hop into the next replay. So overall, super fun build by Raptor. Unfortunately, I mean, the Gallows Giant, still 136 kills, did very good trying to shut down those Ungor Raiders, but they got the damage in early, shut down that Leviathan with the help of the Giant. Now, the long-range throwing from the Cygors, very viable pick. He looks like he was actually aiming for the bigger targets rather than to kind of get the cheap cheerful chaff, and they did some serious work, but that poor bloated corpse really backfired, allowing an extra unit of Chaos Spawn to be summoned and then instantly hop on top of those bombers, basically making these guys get 0 value, which is very bad. Overall though, Cavendish's build, super fun build. I really like the Chaos Spawn. I think they work well in this matchup, mixed in with the Ungor Raiders. This may actually be a build I try out in the future up against Vampirates. Big shout out though to Raptor for sending this in. Even though it's a loss, you don't see that very often, but it was super funny to see that bloated corpse. And let's go on to the next battle. So let's pop into this one. So we do have Triori with his, of course, very famous High Elves up against... Hey, I actually know this guy as well. Di Maria Yester with his Dark Elf. So we have a High Elf versus Dark Elf. Good old fisticuffs fight. And this is a blood feud for the ages, and as I can see, there's probably be a lot of cavalry involved. And I can't remember what this one's called, so no hints as to what the battle is going to unfold. So let's have a little look at the builds. For the front lines of the High Elves, we have some spearmen on either flank, just to help hold out against any light cav harassment. And in the centre, we have 3 units of the White Lines of Chase. I've been speaking to a lot of people recently about White Lines. Some people love them, some people hate them, so we'll see how they fare in this matchup. In the back, we do have 2 units of Swordsmen of Hoeth backing these guys up. These guys, super elite warriors. They do not speak. No, they do speak. Phoenix Guard do not speak, but they don't say too much. However, they can deflect arrows out of the sky with their blades, which is pretty damn awesome, and is the deflected shot you see right here. So behind them, there is going to be 3 units of Lothran Sea Guard, my housemate's favourite units. Pretty good multi-purpose. So they have the long range, and they're pretty decent archers themselves, of course, being elves. But at the same time, having shields and spears really helps deal with light harassment cavalry. On the right-hand flank, we have 1 unit of Dragon Princes. They may no longer ride dragons into battle as they once did, but they, they ride these horses pretty damn effectively. Huge shock damage. Very, very elite High Elves. It looks like on the left-hand flank, we also have another unit of Dragon Princes as well. For leadership, we do have Teclis up on top of his mighty pony here, and he has brought Bound Fiery Convocation, his potion, of course, Enfeebling Foe, Net of Amantalk, and Greater Arcane Conduit. Let's have a quick look at the Dark Elf build. So up in the sky, we have a nice little air force of 2 units of Harpies with Malekith on top of his mighty dragon here, looking very, very fearsome and scary indeed, bringing Gaze of Malice, Soul Stealer, Word of Pain, and Power of Darkness. So lots of competitive picks there. We have 3 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows as being protected by 2 units of Cold War Knights. I really like seeing kind of more heavy elite cav protecting the skirmish portion of your army. It's a big investment, but I think it works pretty damn well. For the front line, we have cheap and cheerful Dread Spears all the way along, including 1 unit of Black Ark Corsairs just to make them a bit beefy, and those guys will do pretty good up against Spearmen. We also have the Slaanesh's Harvesters, Regiment Round Doomfire Warlocks. These guys incredibly powerful. Not only are they a decent, fast hitting and hard hitting unit, but they come with a Soul Seal and Word of Pain, which is such good value having those as bound spells. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. I'm expecting a large cav contingent fight over on this side with the Dragon Princess probably cycling across from this flank. But no, it looks like they might just try and hammer out the front line. The front line engagement definitely going to go in favour of the High Elves here. Looks like Teclis has pushed up, probably going to be casting at some sneaky magic, but he probably needs to get back here, maybe net Malekith, and deal with this massive cav flank, which is currently assisted by Harpies as well. Looks like we do have a spell going down on the Dragon Princess, and is this the Fiery Convocation on the Dark Elves? So it looks like we have a Soul Stealer down on them, and a big Eagle Phoenix coming in doing crazy damage to that front line. My god, 2 units of Dread Spears basically gone, and Black Ark Corsairs down to half health. That was incredibly powerful. Already up to 67 kills with 1 cast there. Not something you see every day. So Dragon Princess did get a Soul Steal on them. Pretty early Soul Steal. You want to use that realistically when you've lost some health, so you gain that health back. But it's done some decent damage to them. Harpies flocking in as well. And we have a ton of Overwatch fire coming in from Dark Riders as well. Malekith has been netted in return, and we do have the 3 units of Lothran Sea Guard shooting into him now. We'll slowly attempt to drag him down. The High Elves are actually struggling a little bit to realign their front line, as the battle is no longer going to be taking place over here, as the Dark Elves do fall back to try and get some assistance from this cavalry corner. The battle is certainly not over. But these Dragon Princes taking a ton of damage. Word of Pain pops them as well, as such as Harvesters do go in. Enfeebling Foe countercast on them. But there's so much Overwatch fire coming with the Lothran Sea Guard. This is some really great value overall by the High Elves. Dragon Princes holding the line and forcing off so many units. Malekith getting a little bit desperate now after that initial bad engagement. Has tried to pop down on top of Teclis, but he is running for his life as some brave spearmen do push in. Shields and spears raised, trying to fend off the beast. Now, nice play coming from the Dark Elves here, though, getting their cold ones into back onto the Lothran Sea Guard. But as I said before, these guys are a combat unit as well, though it looks like they are fleeing for now. They do have spears and could do okay up against Cold Blooded Riders. Looks like another, I'm assuming Soul Stealer is coming to come down on these Spearmen and Swordmasters, healing up Malekith and keeping him in the fight. The second unit of Dragon Princess does rally over to the first and assist the beleaguered brothers out, hopping on top of these Dark Riders and tracking them quite nicely. A little slow to react here, the Dark Elf player, and you can see what the shock damage does there. Huge damage, completely breaking the unit overall. And this battle is going very, very well for the High Elves so far. However, there is a bit of an opening here. These Cold War Knights can pop on top of Teclis and do some really decent damage, but some white lines of chase do intercept now. These guys are going to be forced through. Looks like they're going to keep going for it, trying to chase Teclis, but he is on a fast Elven steed and can get a fall back behind this Lothran Seaguard for a bit of protection. Looks like Malekith got a little bit stuck there against some Swordmasters Huef. The elite High Elf warriors do carve him up pretty tastily there with the help of some overwatching Lothran Seaguard. And for the most part, it looks like this could be quite a quick victory for the High Elves as well. So 2 quick games today. Nice shots coming in though, helping fend off these Cold War Knights, who, you know, will do okay against Swordmasters and even against Spearmen, but they will get dragged down by sheer numbers here as they go out with a little bit of a bang though, jumping in there and rampaging. For the most part, the Dark Elf front line has kind of rallied in little blocks, but it's going to be a disjointed return to the battlefield, forced off by the basically untouched white lines of chase. It says close victory there, but that was a pretty dominant victory, in my opinion, from the High Elves, but big shout out to both players there. What an initial cast. That really did kind of seal the game, deleting 2 units of Dread Spears, as you can see. A couple of 0 kills. These ones got 11, and getting these Blank Arc Corsairs down to half health. Very powerful opening spell. Then nice play of the Dragon Princess, trapping 3 units, protecting that back line with just the 1 Dragon Princess, allowing that Overwatch fire to come in and get some really decent value before the other one came slamming home and helped deal with that massive ranged core. And I think both armies definitely had the potential to win this. But that early fiery convocation probably took Di Maria off his game a little bit through him, as you see your front line completely destroyed. But you need to realise there's not too much value in Spearmen and so forth, and he kept going to the end, trying to get onto that back line, but really nice back line presence by Triorier there, protecting those Lothran Seaguard, allowing him to do that continued damage, and allowing his much fewer but more elite cav to win their key engagements. So big shout out to both the guys who sent in these replays today. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe and all that good stuff. We have tournaments, live streams, multiplayer battles, and all the fun stuff to do with Total War Warhammer. Now I'm going to be trying to get through a few more replays, so we've got a couple lined up. If you do want to send me any replays, message me on Discord as a Rubber Duck of War. I can add you to my Discord, where you can, from that point onwards, continuously send me replays. I do believe we have some from Capt Tellus lined up, Stormrunner, and a few other guys as well. I believe Consul of Rome has a cool one he's just sent to me. But anyway, guys, until next time, peace, and stay awesome.